This is the one time of the year I am probably going to have the hottest takes. Let's get into the worst horror movies of 2025. Hey, what's up, ghouls and gals? Welcome back. It is the time of the year I look forward to the most when we get to wrap up all of the horror movies that came out in 2025. Of the year, I should say. I've been doing this for a few years now. I always have the hottest takes in my worst horror movies of the year, and I've got 10 movies we're going to talk about today that in my opinion, I should put that out there. This is my opinion, and I do have, like, I put the Letterboxd review next to my review, like the overall review, so that you can see that, like, some of these are really that bad. But I like to compile these lists: worst horror movies, my horror skips of the year, my best horror movies, my honorable mentions. I love to compile those and do those 4 videos near the end of the year because I don't necessarily talk about too much mainstream horror throughout the year, and this is my big chance to do so. I will make 2 disclaimers before we get into this. One, I always say this, we do not yuck anybody's yum around here. One of my worst horror movies of the year may be one of your favorite movies of the year, and that is okay. Everybody has different tastes. And 2, Alex and I have watched almost 500 movies this year. Yes, I do have a full-time job. I should say that. But we've watched almost 500 movies this year, and I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on what I really enjoyed and what was absolute trash, in my opinion. So if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give this a thumbs up, subscribe for more, check out all of my links down below if you would like to see any more of me or support the channel any further. Let me know in the comments what your worst horror movies of the year were. I would love to see if ours line up at all. So let's begin all the way at the back with number 10 and Fear Street Prom Queen. Who will be voted prom queen at Shadyside High's 1988 prom? For underdog Lori, competition is cutthroat even before someone starts killing off the competition. Now this one has an average of 1.7 out of 5. I gave it a 2 out of 5, which I think is generous. It just was not for me. I was a big fan of the initial first 3 Fear Street films. If you remember, around that time, Netflix actually reached out to me to make content for those 3 movies. I had sets that I made in my childhood bedroom. Like, I really went all out for that. And I was like equally as excited for this movie. I really wanted to like develop a prom set, and I wanted to like do photos based on this movie. And then I saw it and I felt so underwhelmed. It was just a little, like, it felt a little bit young for my taste, and that's saying a lot because I watch a lot of schlock that is sometimes towards a younger audience. A positive for me is that I really did love Susanna Sun, who you guys probably know from Red Rocket. She's been in a bunch of things recently, but she was a real standout in this film. Altogether, it just felt really annoying. Other than Susanna Sun, it felt kind of like the acting was a little mediocre. And like I said, like, I don't mind horror targeted towards like a teen audience. Like, that's totally fine. This just was a complete miss altogether. And can we talk about the dance-off scene? It was so unnecessary. I really did not have fun with that one. And unfortunately, at number 9, we have the second R.L. Stine property of the year, Pumpkinhead. When his brother disappears and everyone forgets he existed, Sam must unravel the mystery before he is gone forever. This one has an average of 2.8 out of 5, and I only gave it a 2 once again. This was directed by Jem Gerard, who did Slay from last year. I think it was on my honorable mentions. Also directed Takeout from this year. 2 movies came out from Jem Gerard this year. I do think that this one was the one that was a little inferior to Takeout. Takeout was solid, I will say, in the grand scheme of things. Thinking back to it, like, it was a pretty solid premise and a pretty well executed film. But Pumpkinhead just didn't do it for me. In thinking about this film, I thought a lot about Dark Harvest from last year, which was a completely better film with kind of the same premise, kind of the same kind of pumpkin, thing. But I don't know. This one was a miss for me. Unfortunately, both R.L. Stine properties were a complete miss this year. Okay, let's get mad at number 8, Until Dawn. 1 year after her sister Melanie mysteriously disappeared, Clover and her friends head into the remote valley where she vanished in search of answers. Now, surprisingly, this has 2.5 out of 5. I gave it 1.5, and I think I should go and edit my score to just give it a 1. This is a complete mockery of the game. I've watched Alex play a good chunk of the game. He finished it. I did not, but I feel like I grasped enough of the game to understand what's going on. It was written by Larry Fessenden, the game. You guys know I love Larry Fessenden so much. I hold him very dear to my heart as an actor, as a director, as a writer. This, in the movie of it all, it felt like Larry Fessenden's writing was thrown out the window. This is going to be the theme with a lot of these movies. I feel like Until Dawn could have been any other movie. This could have been any other title, any other name that's not Until Dawn, and it would have just been a really cool, like multi-genre cabin in the woods movie. But you throw Until Dawn on it, and it becomes a complete mockery of the game. Anyways, I guess maybe if you haven't played the game, or maybe if you had no idea what was going on with the game, much like David F. Sandberg, I feel like you would maybe like it, but it was absolute. Like, let me just preface this by saying these movies are not in any kind of order. These are just like my 10 worst films of the year, so this should be higher on the list, but let's move on. Number 7, we have a movie that was marketed as one of those disturbing films that's gonna be so messed up, and I'm getting ahead of myself, and it had all this weird like Midsommar kind of marketing towards it, but it was a trash fire at the end of the day, unfortunately. Let's talk about Garden of Eden. The wealthy and religious Eden family make dreams come true for people in need, but dreams can often become nightmares. This is another one that has an average rating of 2.5, and I gave it a 1.5, and I think this is another one I should rate lower. 2 hours and 16 minutes, are we okay? Like, this is a long movie for not a very good premise. Terrible acting, I will say that. I'm sorry. It was just like, it really took me out of the movie altogether. The gore was fine. The effects were good. Like, that was fine. It was just like the story altogether was just so much for 2 hours and 16 minutes. Like, that was crazy. This comes from director Marcel Walz, who directed a film that I've mentioned already that I've heard is quite disturbing, Brute 1976, an Argentinian horror, and I just, now that I've connected that they are the same director, I am not looking forward to that one much longer. Okay, anyways, another terrible film. This list is just like, I know what you did last summer. A year after 5 friends cover up an accident they caused, their past comes back to haunt them, and they realize someone knows what they did last summer. Another one, 2.5 out of 5. I gave it 1.5, and this one I think is fine at 1.5. This is just like a mess of a legacy sequel. That's like a sequel reboot. This is like that whole, it was not good. I get too heated when I make this kind of content, guys. This is like why I don't talk about films I don't like very often, because like I get so upset. Anyways, I just think every choice they made, character-wise, story-wise, everything, Madeline Klein was so misused in this movie. I don't know, the whole thing, everything, every twist, every turn, everything in this movie was just garbage. Okay, let's talk about Borderline. After escaping from a mental hospital, a violent sociopath named Paul begins a violent rampage targeting Sophia, a world-famous pop star. Obsessed with her, he takes Sophia hostage in her own home, acting under the delusional belief that they are a married couple. This one has a 2.8 out of 5. I gave it a generous 2.5 out of 5. In theory, meh. In execution, meh. You know? The highlight of this movie for me comes at the end, through the end credits, when Ray Nicholson acts. He fully acts through those credits like Mia Goth in Pearl. I loved that. I loved seeing that. I think he's got a bright future in horror. But this, and I feel like this may be a little controversial, I feel like this movie came from Samara Weaving's husband, and I feel like this was just an excuse to put her in a movie to get eyes on the movie. And if this maybe were cast at I just don't think she was believable in this role. If it were cast with maybe a more up and coming actress, someone that we fresh eyes on, it would have been better executed. But Ray Nicholson, total highlight of this film. Whole thing in general, in finished product, was not good for me. And I thought this was gonna be a whole Madonna allegory, and I was like, yes, my Lord and Savior, Madonna Christ, let's go. No. No. Okay, we are at number 4. Let's talk about Descendant. After a traumatic brain injury triggers terrifying visions of extraterrestrials and newfound talent for drawing, a father-to-be begins to question his reality and becomes obsessed with the need to protect his family from an unseen threat. This one has 2.9 out of 5, and I did give this a 2 out of 5. I do feel like, hear me out, this could be a good double feature with Take Shelter, starring Michael Shannon. But this one is another one that was really cool in theory and not great in execution. This comes from producers Benson and Moorhead. You know, we are big Benson and Moorhead fans around here. It almost takes the traumatic brain injury from him and also the alien aspects of fire in the sky almost, and combines them into a movie that did not execute it the best. And let me tell you, I've had a TBI. I have had a traumatic brain injury. I feel like I understood him. I totally got it. This one did not. Another film. Let's talk about another film that I feel like I really thought I was going to enjoy. Opus. A young writer is invited to the remote compound of a legendary pop star who mysteriously disappeared 30 years ago. Surrounded by the star's cult of sycophants and intoxicated journalists, she finds herself in the middle of his twisted plan. Now, in theory, you would think I would love this movie. Io Debris, John Malkovich, Juliette Lewis. Great cast. Great cast. It's a musical. I love if there's one thing about me, Ashley Marie Markham, I love a musical. And also, if there's one thing about me, I love a cult. I love, not personally, but I love stories about a cult. You guys know we do Cult Horror Movie Week every year here on this channel, so I was really excited to get a fresh take on a music. I don't know, whatever. I don't know what I was expecting going into this, but watching Sarah Hawkinson possessed by horror, watching and hearing her say that there was one scene in this movie that was so disturbing, and I'm watching this and I'm like, where are we? Where is this moment? Give me something, give me anything, give me nothing. It was okay, I feel. I just don't think, I guess it falls under the horror umbrella, but I don't know what I was expecting with this one, so this has a 2.7 out of 5, and unfortunately I gave this one a 1.5. And I love musicals. I want to watch The Testament of Anne Lee because it is a musical, and I don't like movies like I don't want to watch a period piece by Brady Corbet's wife. That's not who I am, but I love a musical. And I'm saying that because I'm just mostly a horror girl. I love a horror movie, but allegedly The Testament of Anne Lee is about a cult. So anyways, I am going so far off the track here. I am digressing. We have been here for so long already. This is gonna take me forever to edit. Let's get into my last 2 films. I think that these 2 films may be some of my hottest takes. Starting off, number 2, Wolfman. With their marriage fraying, a man persuades his wife to take a break from the city and visit his remote childhood home in Oregon. As they arrive at the farmhouse in the dead of night, they are attacked by an unseen animal and barricade their home. But as night goes on, the man begins to behave strangely. and he transforms into something unrecognizable. Okay, this has a 2.4. I gave it a 2. It was fine, whatever. Like, I will literally watch anything Julia Garner and Christopher Abbott are in. She was in 3 movies this year. Weapons, Fantastic Four, Wolfman. Good for her. But this was almost like Lee Winnell wanting to make his... He wanted to make The Fly, allegedly, and the studios were like, no, you cannot make The Fly. So he kind of like was like, okay, I'm gonna make Wolfman, and then we're gonna do like cool special effects, and like kind of I'm gonna shoehorn in my like Fly story here without it making any kind of sense. And that's kind of what it felt like in the end. This is just like another film that could have been titled anything else, could have been anything else, and it would have maybe been more fun to watch. I don't know. Julia Garner is always a highlight, but gosh, this one was a chore. Okay, this is gonna be my hottest take. I'm a little nervous to even like talk about this. I feel like a lot of you guys loved this movie. A lot of you guys really did. You guys were like hyping this movie up so much. I'm gonna tell you right now, this is at the #1 spot for a reason. Like, this is my worst horror film of the year. Bone Lake. Worst movie of the year. A couple's romantic vacation at a secluded lakeside estate is upended when they are forced to share the mansion with a mysterious, attractive couple. This has a 2.8 out of 5. I gave it a 1 out of 5. If I could give it a half, I probably would go back and change it, but I think I'm gonna give it a 1. I think that's fair. Talk about a chore, okay? This movie opens, you see these couples at this thing, whatever, you're walking through the house, it's like not even 5 minutes in, you see a picture on the wall. 2 kids. I'm like, that's them. That is them right there. This whole thing, a ruse. They are gonna do something here, they are gonna kill this other couple. It is gonna be bad. From the first 5 minutes, I thought that, and I could not think anything else. I figured out the movie within like the first 5 minutes of watching it, and that made the whole experience so like boring for me. I don't know who was telling you guys this is the horniest movie, like horror movie. Like, I don't know if you guys have just like not been watching anything. Like, you guys, if you watched my film fest, you would have seen like the Devil's Honey. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, that there's so many other horror movies that like are, this is not even remotely, this is so vanilla compared to like half the shit I've seen. I don't understand why you guys were hyping this movie up so bad. This is just another Airbnb mistake. Oh no, it's actually a couple planning this. This is the Who Invited Them of this year. This movie made me so mad while watching it, I almost turned it off like 3 times. I'm getting heated. I am so sorry to like, I don't want to yuck anybody's yum. So like, if you guys liked this movie, fine, totally fine, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I sure as shit did not. I got too heated. I had to get a stress drink. Anyways, we just watched Keeper last night. It really did not live up to my expectations at all. So maybe I would go as far as putting Keeper in my worst horror movies of the year. I would also put like Night of the Reaper, Please Don't Feed the Children, so many other movies, but I feel like these are the notable ones that I really just like did not enjoy this year. So I'm sorry for the disappointment if you enjoyed any of these. Like I said, we just watched so many movies throughout the year that it's like, it's so hard. Like, my favorites of the year list is so short compared to like my skips, my honor, like everything. My favorites is like a really solid list. Some that you guys might even not expect to be on that list, but we'll get there eventually. I think my next film is gonna be my skip. My next film. I think my next video, I'm getting weird here. My next video is going to be my skips of the year. They're questionable movies. I'm just gonna tell you right now, I feel like every movie that comes out at the beginning of the year that starts with the could possibly be like the worst film, and that's why we skip them. So do with that information what you will. I will see you in that video pretty soon. I can't believe it's the end of the year already and we're almost at January Jollo again. And also, no, this is not a piercing. I have a huge zit under here and thought it would be cool to decorate it. So I will see you guys in my next video. I love you. Thanks for watching. Let me know your worst horror movies of the year in the comments. Sayonara.